what's happening, quite a lot actually in a very short space of time, so stay focused. First one, what's that? I'll confirm by the weekend. Cool. So first one is happening today, right now, in real time. I'll give you a heads up about that in a minute. Also, there's something fabulous going on this evening, which is going to be both, I know, enlightening and historically educational. Few things happening tomorrow as well, and something kicking off in the next few weeks. So let's start with the thing that is happening today. Right, let me get that up. Some of you know the wonderful Patricia Evelyn Green Rogers Green, who if you search for her online in terms of her PR work, you'll find her as Patricia Green. So that's probably where the bulk of the information is. And I'm going to be in conversation with Patricia today, 6:30 p.m. UK BST, and it really is like somewhere out there. It's 18 degrees and sunny today. It's fabulous. 1:30 p.m. USA Eastern Time. It's on Zoom. It's part of the WACA, Watford African Caribbean Association Black History Month series of events. So I'm going to be in conversation with Patricia. We've had a pre-conversation. I really wish we'd recorded it. It was so good. But we had a pre-conversation prior to going live today, just to get a sense of where do we want to go, what do we want to talk about, and also then thinking about some of the topics of conversation. It's quite interesting. Patricia was saying the English is so reserved and so polite, she's not sure if they'd be ready for some of these conversations. I'm of the opinion of absolutely, and that maybe is one of the reasons to have those conversations. So if you're free, 6:30 UK time, 1:30 p.m. USA Eastern Time. It's on Zoom, completely free of charge. Go to my page, my Facebook page in this case. I've just put this poster up, so you'll see that poster, and there's a link where you can RSVP. That would be brilliant if you could do that in advance, just so we recognize some of the names as people are coming in. So that is going to be amazing, fabulous, wonderful, and actually very good colors. I didn't do this poster, somebody else did it. But that leads me on to the next thing, which is currently happening right now. Let me show you this. This is Callie-Anne Boyd. That flag is it was a competition. So today, just so you can see that, Watford is 100 years old in terms of being Watford Borough. So today's the centenary. There was a competition and children from around the borough entered. Callie-Anne Boyd was the winner, and her flag has just gone up over Watford Borough Council. So if you're in town, the wind has to actually, let me show you. Let me just see if I can quickly, it's really challenging if the wind isn't going in the right direction. So what did I call this one? Let's see. Flag flying. That's the one I'm looking for. So those of you who know where the flagpole is, if you know the Horn pub, it's along that side. But what has just happened is the mayor, the chairman of Watford Borough Council, the deputy mayor, they were all there, and that's the flag. So it's now flying to celebrate 100 years, and the school children who entered the competition, they were all there as well today. So it was a really, really lovely celebration, and well done again, Callie-Anne, for creating the winning flag. I did a little mini interview with her. So for those of you who live in our ward, I'm in Central Ward, I've asked her parents if it's okay. We'll do maybe a little write-up about that, just so you can hear a bit about how the idea came to being and what it's all about. But that was today. So happy centenary to Watford Borough Council. That is absolutely amazing. So that's today. It's 100 years. The colour, I don't know if you can see that, the colour for a centenary is apparently purple. So I've done my best to get my purple going. This is purple. You probably can't tell in this light. So yeah, happy 100. So a couple of other things. Let me go back and find those. Yes, tomorrow evening, there is still an opportunity where you can listen to part 1 of the Chakra series. It's free of charge. You just go to the relevant page and just press play. I think you have to put your email address in, but that's it. Tomorrow is part 3 of the Chakra series. So we started off with the base, the sacral. Tomorrow, it's going to be all about the solar plexus and that wonderful energy power center. So that is live tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. UK BST. If you've already signed up, I added you to the platform before I went away. So you should have received, I think a reminder goes out 24 hours before. So you're probably going to get that in the next few hours. There should also be a reminder that goes out between 30 and 60 minutes before. However, you should have already received your personalized link when I set you up into the webinar platform. So if you haven't had that, let me know and I will resend it again tomorrow afternoon. But that we're going live with the Chakra webinar series tomorrow evening. If you can't make it live, it will be recorded, so you can catch the replay. And for those of you who have booked for the whole series of seven, I always think of Len Goodman when I say the number 7, Strictly Come Dancing, long story. So if you have already booked the whole series and you can't make it live, what I do once the recording has rendered, I'm going to add that to the series page. So all of the 7 are going to be in the same place. If you're just doing it as a one-off, let's say you just want to join us for the solar plexus, for example, tomorrow, you'll just receive the link to the one that you've paid for. But if you're in the series of 7, you'll get all of those, and I'm going to add them as they become live to the series page. Those of you who booked from the beginning, you're already on the series page, so you know what I'm talking about. So that is tomorrow. Oh yes, this. Now this is new. For those of you who booked before I went away, you would already have received the first question. For those of you who booked after I was away, because I wasn't on emails or anything like that, no emails, no messenger, none of that, just a bit of a digital detox, apart from doing a quick bit, if it took less than 5 minutes, a quick bit of cut and pasting from my automated post onto my Facebook page and clicking like. But aside from that, have been offline. So if you've booked while I've been away, you wouldn't have received the first question for the first 10. So let me just very quickly tell you what the first 10 is. The first 10 is going to be a modular version of my Fearless Public Speaking webinar. So I'm adding some new content to that. We're going to break it down into modules, and there's a special offer that, well, it was 70% off for those of you on my e-newsletter list. What went out a couple of days ago was 50% off for those of you on social media, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And that's for the first 10 people. What I then do is we kind of lock that down. And for those 10 people, you're going to receive for the next 5 weeks a couple of questions. So questions that you got last week, for example, is, why did you sign up? What would you like to get out of it? This time around, I've got a couple of questions about the actual content itself. There are a couple of modules that I'm thinking of adding. For example, someone has asked me about getting speaking gigs. That's not necessarily part of the program. So one of the questions I'll be asking, for example, is, would you want that as a bonus module, or do you think that should be built into the main program? I actually think it's a bonus module, but I'll ask the audience. Another thing I was thinking about, because it comes up a lot in terms of what stands in people's way, was potentially doing a bonus module just about technology. So going to be asking you a couple of questions about that. So a couple of questions every week for the next 5 weeks, just once a week. I'm probably going to send them out on a Wednesday. And I think that'll be the best time, middle of the week, to do it. So if you've already signed up, you've answered the first 2 questions. If you signed up while I've been away, what I'm going to do is set up an electronic form. So I'll add the first 2 questions to the form, and then I'll add the questions for this week as well. So that'll make sense for those of you who have signed up. I think there's 2 places left if you did want to do that at what will be 50% off. This course will be launching in November. So once I've done the Q&A with the first 10, there's a module I'm thinking about, for example. So I may, if you want to, I'll send you the module. You can have a look at it. Tell me what you think. I also do possibly want to check out because we're going to have a Q&A support group online for this one. So let's just say you've got a presentation coming up, you've got a question you wanted to ask, it can go into the forum. So what I probably want some of the first 10 to do is test out the Q&A forum, just make sure it's working okay, easy enough to navigate. And if there are any challenges, difficulties, then what I can do is put a walkthrough together so that people can navigate their way through that more easily. So if you're in the first 10, next email will be coming, next Q&A will be coming out tomorrow. And next week, I think that's probably going to be when I'll do it. I'll then maybe add a few of you, give you a preview look at the platform we're going to be using. And I may also add a bit of test content in there as well. And just to make sure you can download the bonus PDFs okay, make sure you can watch the videos okay. So that's all going to be coming up. So if you're in the first 10, congratulations and thank you for agreeing to put a couple of minutes each week into giving me some feedback. That would be amazing. And if you're not, I haven't looked. The last time I looked, there were 2 places left. So if you do want to be in the first 10 and save yourself 50% before we go for launch next month, then easiest thing to do, because I have set up a link for it on my main website. So it's going across the bottom now, www.transformationstm.com. Go to, there's a red button at top right if you're on a desktop that says what's new. Click that, a panel will slide out, and then you'll see the information about the first 10. So that is coming up. Now this one is a little bit further away, potentially just under 6 weeks. Thinking about whether or not we do, because we were due to do the 10-year anniversary Mind Body Spirit Energy Fest in December 2020. Now we all know what happened in December 2020. The hotel was closed, and so couldn't do it. Then last year was still a bit, people are still, I'm not really sure. So really just wanted to check in with people. Actually, let me give you, I think it'll be the 3rd. Let me just double check. Yeah. So Saturday the 3rd of December is when we're thinking of doing an in-person version of the Mind Body Spirit Energy Fest workshop. That's myself and the wonderful Gina Batt. Actually, I think this is what I was using. Should still be here. I didn't delete it. Yes. So these we were having a conversation this week about what do we think we want to include. So these are some of the ideas that we're looking at thus far. Got an idea for the so we got a really nice idea for, how can I say, venting, journaling, but doing it in public, even though you're in private. I'll say more about that at the workshop, with kind of things that you want to clear off your chest. We were looking at, I personally want to have a bit of a COVID chat before we start, because that's probably going to bring up a few things for people that might be sitting in the psyche. So we're going to do that. We had fun with this one a few years ago. Well, actually, the very first time we did it, the first 2 years, where people were activating and energizing items. So wallets, pens, jewelry, crystals, all of that sort of stuff. We laughed. Gina first said, oh, make sure you tell people not to wear any jewelry, rings, and put those on, because we were doing the energy and I was doing some huna, and a lovely friend of mine, Amana, put a ring on the table, similar sort of thickness to this. So really thick. You can't squeeze this one and change the shape. It's really thick. She put a ring on the table. So we're doing all the huna energy stuff, and Gina's doing with her guides and doing all of that for a good 10 minutes or so. And then Amana picked up her ring to put it back on, and the ring, the metal, had skewed sideways. And nobody had touched it. It was just there on the table. So she never, for the first 5 or 6 years after that, she never let me forget it. Whenever MBS came up in conversation with people, she'd say, oh, and be careful of your jewelry. So we might do that exercise again, because it was really great fun. We're going to do something, I think, about stepping over the threshold. We'll tell you more about that when we get there. We're talking about, okay, because Gina wants to do a process taking us back to the beginning of time to clear events. I think that will be amazing. I'll probably do some of the favorites like Huna and Access Consciousness. I'll probably do a Ho'oponopono following the COVID chat, because I think that's going to bring up a fair few things that you maybe want to cut the links and ties and connections with as we go into the new year. We talked about some of the things that we've been noticing when speaking to people, working with people. So never allowed to be successful, feeling persecuted, those who have suffered from betrayal, disappointment. It almost is, no matter how hard you work, things don't quite work out. People or things or situations, if they're holding you back. People feel as though they're being dragged through the mill. They're at the mercy of everyone else, almost like a pawn in the game, feeling that almost powerless, actually powerless. Let me add that one in, because that's what I hear a lot as well at the moment. Powerless. So yeah, we were going through what are some of the themes that we've been hearing, designing some processes that will suit that, but of course taking our steer from the audience. We also, because we went to see a wonderful group last week called Pink Martini. They're playing at the Royal Albert Hall. They did something really amazing. And I do a version of this. Whenever I do the Huna and Access Consciousness, I'm not the person coming up with the clear. Well, I am coming up with the clearing statements once I've heard what people want to clear. But the way that I do it is people shout out or write on little bits of card, depending on how many people are there, about what they want to clear. Those go up on the flip chart, or I'm just working my way. I remember one year we because it was just taken too long for me to write it down for everyone, so everyone had little cards and post-it notes on their desk. They wrote down what they wanted to clear, and I just then go through all of those, creating the clearing statements and doing the Huna energy symbols as we go. Fine, always do that. When we went to see Pink Martini, it was let's just say 2.5 hour show, because there was an intermission in the middle. They did something really fantastic for the second half. They asked the audience before we went to the intermission break, they said, if you have a favorite song that you'd like to request, write it down. Now, first they said, write it down and leave it on the stage. And I was like, as an event manager, I'm like, whoa, well, this will be interesting. Royal Albert Hall is packed to capacity. You're going to have a load of people now trying to rush to the stage. I'm like, let me just see how this is going to work. As soon as the orchestra did their final bows for the break, the Tanway system comes on, and there was someone saying, do not leave your request on the stage. Give them to the ushers who are standing by the various exits. And I thought, okay, that sounds like a more workable plan. But what they did, which was really amazing, after the break, the second half of the show was just the requests, and not only just taking the name of the song, they were reading out what people wrote. There were several people who, they had a real deep connection, or they saw Pink Martini 20 years ago and when they were dating, and now they're there with their partner and their children. It was just really lovely. The friend I was with asked for a song to be played for Steve, a friend of hers who had passed away, and the song that she requested was their favorite song, and Pink Martini read that whole message out and then played the song. It was really fantastic. So I was talking to Gina, I was saying, hey, I know I always do the personal request, but we could take that a step further and actually have a whole segment of the workshop is just going to be based upon what the audience have requested. So we take those requests in, we then look at what people are asking for, what they want to work on, what they want to clear, what they feel is standing in their way, areas they'd like to improve, and then we look at those requests and we then decide on that, in that day, in the moment, okay, which processes, which modality, which approach would be best for this. So rather than saying, right, in the morning we're going to do timeline therapy and going back to beginning of time and future life progression and stress release and all of those wonderful things, it's like, no, let's not do that. Let's have a section of the workshop where we have no idea what we're going to be doing, because it's going to be based on what people ask us for. So that's the thing that we're thinking of doing at the moment. So my first question, particularly for those of you who booked back in 2019, because that's the way I often do the workshops, because the first year I ran it just as a one-off. It was 2009. I had a really bad year in terms of things that were happening. And I was just sitting here at a slightly different desk, because I've got a different desk now, but sitting here, and I was like, man, I cannot go through another year like that. What do I need to do? And the voice that I always listen to said, you need to work on your mind, your body, your spirit, and your soul. I immediately went, oh, I can do that, because I know lots of lovely physical practices, Qigong, for example. Nowadays, I'm definitely doing block therapy. I know lots, of course, I'm a coach, I'm a hypnotherapist, I'm an NLP trainer, so I know a lot about the mind. I was then thinking, okay, well, I'm a soul plan reader, so I can do stuff with the soul plan. I read tarot and do energy work and intuitive reading. So of course I can do the spiritual side. Fantastic. And then the voice said, I know you can do it, but how about working with other people as well? And that then rolled into a, hold on a minute, if I'm feeling this way and I need to work on the mind, the body, spirit, and the soul, I wonder if other people are feeling the way too. And I had about 3 weeks. So I went from, I have an idea, to 3 weeks later actually running the very first Mind, Body, Spirit Energy Fest. We had about 30 people join us at short notice. Some of them flew in from Europe, etc. But that's how the event was born. So it was never the intention for it to be an annual event. I just ran it as a one-off because I thought, if I need this, other people could probably benefit from it too. And that's when, you know, bringing in other trainers as well, because I thought, hey, I don't need to do it all myself. I know people who are experts also in these respective fields. So that's how it started. That year was so mind-blowing, and the things that had happened for people so amazing. In terms of, that's where we really got into the speak it into existence vibe, because things people said out loud then happened to the letter. The second year, because it was so amazing, some of the people who were there first year, I said, can you come back this year and share your story with last year's delegate? So Keith, for example, came back. He wanted to find the love of his life. He returned with his lovely girlfriend, for example. I don't think Amana could join us at that point, because the things she said about getting a job in Saudi or Dubai and teaching abroad, it already happened, and she was abroad, but she sent us some wonderful photos from Saudi. So did it then just to kind of go, I want you guys to meet last year's attendees. Ran it for a third year, and people in the room were saying, well, I was here last year, everything that I requested, that I wrote down, that we talked about has come true, so I'm back for more of the same. So the first 4 years was run basically on that. Then we started going, hey, this is a lot of work to run it. It's quite intense, and you know, we pack a lot in. So every year it wasn't like, oh, we're just going to run it again just because. We always were then to say to people, well, you know, did you enjoy the event? Did you find it useful? Would you like us to run another one? People was like, yeah, and I'm booking, can we book now? So that's then how that started. So we would always, Gina and I would say before, on the Friday night before, because it runs on a Saturday, we'd say to ourselves, right, this may be the last time we're running it, let's make it a good one. It always is. And if the people who are there would like to book a year in advance, then we'll do the next one. If people are like, no, we're good, thanks very much, it's been fun, but hey, then we're not running it. So and last year, well, no, last year in 2019, we said, well, look, potentially we were going to end it at 9. 9 is the number of completion for those of you who do numerology. But I said it would be nice to do a 10-year anniversary one, and then COVID hit, so we didn't do it. So although it's technically the 12th year, because we did it online in the interim when we were in lockdown, but really the 10th in-person one will either be on Saturday the 3rd of December, or for those of you who booked in advance, if you can't make it, what we'll do is we'll then kind of speak to you all, see what date you can do. I'd say, you know, maybe a nice way to start the new year, mid to end January, beginning of February, for example. But we're going to check on the date. So if you can make it on Saturday the 3rd of December, let us know. If you can't, then, and that's the majority, then we'll see what we can do in terms of a secondary date. So it's potentially almost that time. That's just under 6 weeks away. So if you can make it, that would be absolutely amazing. So that's the MBS Energy Fest. I think that's it, actually, in terms of what's going to be happening. Yep, that's it. So in terms of what I preloaded, we're cool. Yep. All right, I think we're good. So, and for those of you I saw in person at the TCCHE, always a fantastic event. So I was the host and the MC for that again this year. Had some amazing speakers. Greg Braden is one of the regulars, as is Lynn McTaggart. Marianne Williamson. I haven't actually seen Marianne Williamson speak in the 5 years that I've been the MC, so it was really lovely to have her there as well. Rupert Sheldrake was back this time round. Just really, Dr. Teresa Bullard was there. Kind of the whole thing about, she's a physicist scientist bridging kind of science and spirituality. That's the whole theme of the event. But another fantastic event. Good to see some of my friends there in person as well. So that was great fun. So yes, any questions, any queries, drop me an email. That's the easiest thing to do. Marilyn, Marilyn, at transformationstm.com. That's TRANCE, F for Freddie. So FORMATIONSTM, as in trademark. So Marilyn at transformationstm.com. Go to the main website, click the red What's New button, top right of the screen, for links to any of the things that I've been talking about. I am going to now go and add the link to book to join the conversation tonight with myself and Patricia Green. So I'll add that in a few minutes. But you can look on my Facebook page for those who are watching the Facebook Live. It's there if you do want to join us this evening. That's fantastic. Thanks, David. Oh, David, it's the David. Me and Gina were talking about you this weekend, and I was saying David Shepherd would love your wall because she's got all of her NLP prac and master practice certificates in her office in really lovely silver frames. But it's the 22-year anniversary this October right now of doing the NLP training with the prac and the master prac. So I was with Gina for the last couple of days, and we were reminiscing. Number one, we can't believe that it's been 22 years. So October 2000. At this point, because I think prac was started second week of October. So this time, 22 years ago, we had just finished practitioner, and we're a couple of weeks away, maybe 3 weeks away. 22 years, absolutely. And we were 2 or 3 weeks away from doing the master practitioner, but we were reminiscing, and talking about you and the group, etc. And like, oh my God, 22 years. Where does the time go? Talking about all the things that have happened in that interim period. And it's been quite a ride and quite a journey. We were both also, because we have got our breakthrough boards. I think I know where mine is. I think it's up in the attic. Gina was kind of going, I'm not sure where it is, but we were both saying it'd be really interesting to find the breakthrough board and see what we wrote on the back of that after Master Prac. So yeah, it's at the Hilton Olympia. That's the one. So, and I walk, of course, I've done a lot at Kensington Olympia over the years. So I walk past that hotel often. I was in it a couple of months ago. One of the first in-person events that came back was at that hotel. And I was saying, oh my gosh, this really does hold memories. So yeah, it's been quite something. So 22, actually, that reminds me, I normally do something for my anniversary each year. So I have to do something for the 22-year anniversary. Watch this space. I'll let you know what that is. But yeah, it's been amazing, absolutely amazing. And 22 years is definitely wow. And Dave, for those of you who are looking to do some training, I always think, because I gave up the accountancy studies to become a coach and hypnotherapist, and I always say, look, if the circumstances and the deck hadn't stacked itself in the way it did, and I hadn't accidentally, because it was an accident, I didn't mean to sign up for a full-on practitioner. If I hadn't accidentally signed up for the practitioner and I tried to get my money back, thankfully, David and Paul Vernon did not let me have my money back and said, come to the training. If you don't get massive value, we'll give you your money back at the end. I'm so grateful for that, because if they'd just given me a refund, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But what I suspect would have happened, I would be a 50-something-year-old chartered accountant who had just discovered NLP and was now heading off to do my very first practitioner training. So I think, you end up where you're going to end up. But yeah, this time 22 years ago, I was still thinking I was going to be a chartered accountant. The NLP and coaching, etc., was going to be something I was going to do part-time, weekends, evenings, etc. But the universe, shall we say, had other plans. Thank goodness. And David Shepherd didn't give me an immediate refund. Well, it was Paul who answered the phone at that first point when I was like, oh, there's been a mistake. This isn't what I signed up for. But I'm really happy, really happy. I didn't just go for a refund because it all just felt too hard and too difficult and too out there. I wasn't really into, I knew I was signing up for NLP. That's what I thought I was going to do. But the hypnosis, timeline therapy, HUNA, absolutely not. I actually thought that was a load of old rubbish. And so I'm like, give me my money back now. But the rest, as they say, is history. So for those of you who have not yet embarked upon the path, I would highly, highly recommend it, whether you're doing it because you want to become a practitioner and work with other people, or you're doing it as I first started out, as a form of self-development, of personal development. I had no plans to work with other people at all, couldn't have been further from my mind. So whichever premise you're coming from, I highly recommend checking out. David Shepherd is still running practitioners, master practitioners, practitioner trainings. So it's performance partner. I believe it's still the performancepartnership.com. I'm sure David will put something in the chat if it's changed. But yeah, check it out, because oh, that's a good point, actually. David says, breakthrough board in the attic, not good feng shui. I'm going to go forth and I'm going to seek it out. So yeah, check it out, because for me, it was a game changer. It was absolutely life-changing. So I highly recommend it. That's why I'm such a massive fan of personal development, because David, about a year and a half ago, I was looking through my Master Prac folder and I found my big goals. One of my big goals, and I always laughed. I was like, really, Marilyn, come on now, up your game. But one of my big goals, let me put this picture up to put this in context. One of my big goals was to be able to confidently speak to small groups of people and be able to look them in the eye. And when I was reading, it was like, oh my God, I wanted to be able to confidently speak to small groups of people. That was my big stretch, my big wow goal. So when I look at pictures like this now, was taken at Kensington Olympia, and I was doing a series of talks for Psychologies magazine, hence wearing the pink t-shirt. Yeah, that's me on the stage. And I looked at that. My big goal was to have the confidence to speak to small groups of people and be able to maybe run small workshops or, host small meetings. Now, at the time I wrote it, it was a massive deal. I was like, oh my God, if I could be able to do that. When I looked at it, I was like, whoa, Marilyn, you need to up your game and think bigger. But yeah, that's where it started, because when I did my prac and master prac, I was terrified of public speaking. Could barely speak to my own family. And when I realized it's a skill you can learn, I'm like, oh, I can help other people with this. And most of them were not kicked, dragging and screaming into the training room like I was. And that was the thing that made me go, look, because I'd been quiet and shy all of my life. I was 32 at the time. So I was terrified of public speaking right up until the age of 32. I would have logically said, that's not a skill I can change. There's nothing I can do about that. My personality in terms of MBTI, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, I'm off the chart introvert. So when I learned about all of that stuff, I'm like, well, there's no hope. What am I to do? And what you're to do is to go forth, sort out those limiting beliefs, learn some skills and techniques that you can use to help drive things forwards. And now being on stage and being on camera, that's why my lives are so long, sorry about that. Being on stage and being on camera is one of my absolute most favorite things to do. It no longer fills me with terror. So yeah, personal development, thank you, thank you, thank you. So happy centenary, Watford Borough Council, 100 years today. Happy 22-year anniversary to myself and Gina Batt and all of the graduates of the class of 2000. Thank you again, David Shepherd, for the training. And yeah, let's see what the next 22 years has in store. Thank you all for watching. And if you know anyone who could benefit from joining us tonight for the Patricia Green conversation for Black History Month, if you want to join us for the Chakra Energy Healing series tomorrow evening, mental health first aid training, I think I'm running one of those free of charge for Watford Chamber of Commerce. So if you're a small business in Watford, get yourself on the list for that. It's a level 1 mental health first aid training, completely free of charge. And if you fancy joining us for the Mind, Body, Spirit Energy Fest, let me know. We'll be fabulous to have you. And if you're in the first 10 for the Fearless Public Speaking Workshop, I look forward to working with you. And if you know anyone who could benefit from any of those, or if they fancy some NLP training with David Shepherd, please share this link. Send them the information. That would be absolutely amazing. Thank you for watching. I will catch you all later. Bye-bye.